So here to moderate your next panel and to introduce your panelists is Leonardo Gamiciotti. He's Executive Director for the Top X Consortium. Welcome.
So thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. So I would like, in view of the timing that you have this tight schedule, I would like to invite the panelists on stage. So we'll have Sven Loeffler from T-Systems, and Dominique Michel from OVH Cloud, and Mario Petruzella Aragon, from Arcis. Then Alfredo will be remotely connected, and I think is already connected.
Hi.
And Masaru Debashi, who made it at the last minute, so we are very happy to have him here. So I don't know, probably some of you will have some slides, so I assume that this will be working. So, okay, by the way, so the title of the panel is Driving Business Impact Through Collaboration, and it's about cloud service providers and clearinghouses. So we are now looking at Gaia-X from the lower part, which is let's say, the foundation, I would say, of what all has been said this morning. All the data spaces and all the possible application. Finally, as Ulrich loves to say, the data doesn't flow on rainbows. So we have and we need infrastructure to do that. So we'll try to understand what are the challenges and the opportunities unleashed by the Gaia-X solutions and framework for cloud service providers. So we have it's now a situation that on one side we have many smaller, small providers that are struggling with the bigger ones in order to find space in the market. And this fragmentation sometimes prevents the cross-border data flow, some interoperability. So collaboration would be an important factor there. Then on the other side, we have a very high market concentration. We have very big players who are getting the biggest part of the market. And that, of course, create other problems. We have heard about those ones mentioned in some presentations. So you have a customer lock-in, you have vendor lockout, if you look at the other side of the coin. And then you have also the need for compliance, especially as regards data. And you have customers requiring trust, compliance with some legislation, and the willingness to know where and how their data are stored. So these are the requirements. So to some extent, we have to understand how we can turn this polarization and this fragmentation into a value. So I would like to start asking the panelists, what kind of practical tools and business practices or whatever strategy you can conceive in order to overcome possible fragmentation and turn into an added value in order to produce additional business impact and business value for the cloud service providers, and what is the position or the ambition of your companies to this extent. So I will start from Sven from T-Systems.
Yeah, welcome and good afternoon. I think I skip the introduction. I think you go further, please. Yeah, I think what is for us important as Deutsche Telekom, we are now in cloud business since we are more than 10 years. SAP, when you're looking at outsourcing and sourcing of SAP, we are in Europe #1 implementation of cloud services, and we are started 10 years ago to look into this topic field of platform economy and data space components, ecosystem place, and we had a clear idea that first of all we are willing to support any cloud. So that means the clear hybrid cloud approach is the key for us. We have broader customers who have enterprise license agreement with Microsoft, Google's, Amazon of the world. We have smaller companies that are using our own open telecom cloud, and we have other clients in other regions that they have their own on-prem environment or where they ramped up their own environment. So first of all, where we are generating business, our services should run on any cloud. So that means what we are creating on a cloud, we are creating workload. This is the left part of the idea. And then, of course, with the data space services and the ecosystem components like clearinghouse or a data space, a connector with a data space protocol, we are transporting data from a cloud, ideally from an edge to a cloud to another consumer who's consuming the client, and this is workload. So that means it comes with compute, it comes with storage components. Depending on the use case, you have to maybe persist your data in between. So it is not every time the scenario that is a peer-to-peer exchange. Sometimes, specifically when it comes to trustworthy AI or interaction of AI, you have to train the model, you have to do something in the middle. So that means it comes with these two flavors. And that for us means, as T-Systems, for us it is, of course, business and workload. And for Deutsche Telekom at the end, it's workload, business workload over the network, right? And that is really the idea. So that means we are, as telco providers, are helping to enable our clients to ramp up these services as advisory services. Then we are helping to plan these services, how they could implement them, build them, compile them together, how you would exchange data, would you use a connector ABC, in which ecosystem you would take part, ABC, which use case is relevant for you, and then, of course, we are running it for them, and this is a little bit where this is, where's, of course, business behind us. That's the reason why we are into this business here.
Yep, thanks a lot. So the same perspective, I would like to know the story from Dominique. So what is your, I mean, do you see some additional paths or practical tools or some aspect that could range from technical, legal, that could help this potential collaboration between providers or within even a company?
Yeah, so OVH Cloud is a cloud provider, a European one, and I would like to give you some figures regarding the European market. So during 2017 and 2022, so the European market has been multiplied by 5, and during the same time, the European market for the European cloud provider has been divided by 2. This is figures coming from European Committee, and if you consider this picture, we can see that more and more, so the big player are using are there in Europe, and this is something which is really important for trust, because when we are talking about trust now, thanks to Gaia-X, so there is some tools available to do some trust. Solution and trust environment, and it's up to a cloud provider to provide this kind of tool in a transparent way. So what we can do and what we achieve with Gaia-X, and it's really a good news for me with the labelization. This is something which is very good, because now we have a framework, a trust framework and labels who guarantee you for data space the quality of the data, the quality of the provider, and you be able to choose the right provider in terms of trust. And this is key for data exchange, of course. So another thing, and if we want to push a little bit more labelization, we need to have support from a political aspect. And European Council, European Committee is key for that, by pushing some regulation. And today we are also waiting for regulation on this aspect, and it will help also to speed up and to have a better trust on this market.
Okay, thank you. So to this extent, so the adoption different level, I mean, from let's say a compliance or legal perspective would be interesting. Then I would go to Mario and to say what is the perspective or the perception of ARSIS on that.
Yeah, so good afternoon, everyone. Sorry about my voice. I'm more used to warmer conditions. My name is Mario. I work in the ARSIS lab. It's the innovation department in ARSIS. And mainly we carry out test pilots, we test new technologies and also third-party solutions to help our customers in their digital transformation, okay? We also take part in several research and innovation projects around Europe, like the FCICs and AC3. All of them aim to build common mechanisms to make seamless integration among different clouds and platforms from different providers, okay? And finally, we are part of IONOS Group. We work closely together with our colleagues in the digital ecosystem department. They also take care of several projects around Europe, like the own IPCA, DOM, TELUS, and many other well-known related initiatives related to innovation, okay? And I'm mentioning this because we think that this is the key for answering this first topic we are addressing, I mean collaboration. This kind of projects, through them, we can define a common framework of interoperability among all of us as providers. For example, a good example of this collaboration could be a provider specializing in a concrete service to offer the rest of the federation so that we could take advantage of exchanging the global portfolio of solutions a federation could offer, okay? This also bear in mind two factors we have to take into account. Among all these initiatives, the first one is the alignment among them. We have to avoid, or we have to devise mechanisms to avoid incompatibilities among these projects, okay? We have to boost the communication among all the projects, the use of standards, for instance, no matter which kind of projects we are talking about, infrastructure, data spaces, they all are aimed to improve our competitiveness and in general the data economy in Europe, okay? And the second one is the adoption, as we have just been talking about. We can develop the best thing in the world, but if it doesn't get or it's not used by the markets, it will be a waste of time, okay? So for us, these kind of projects of collaboration are the key point to reduce fragmentation. And it's aligned with our group's strategy on reinforcing the digital sovereignty in Europe, supporting the European values.
Okay, thank you. So now let's go to Italy. So Alfredo, now you're in a company that's just undergone an organization which clearly shows how is important the relations between services and infrastructure. So from your side and from your perception, what is or what are the possible strategies or tools in order to take advantage of the diversity of Europe and make it compliant with the rest of the world, which is the ambition also of Gaia-X?
Yes, thanks, Leo, and I hope that my voice is loud and clear. And I'm sorry if I'm not here in person, but I had a personal issue in traveling. So definitely the conversation is key, you know, in team, in Telecom Italia, in the enterprise side of Telecom Italia that it belongs to. I'm leading the architecture and portfolio. This conversation is strategic because we want to try to avoid the fact that the legislation is driving the raising of cost in what we deliver to our customer, okay? So one risk we have is that too much legislation is forcing us to deliver a cloud not cost effective as the cloud that is not under legislation or regulation issue. So we need to deliver this value, like labeling all the others, without incurring in extra cost. And this is one of the things we need to definitely be sure that is not happening. And this is where we need help from regulation and regulators. Because as of today, if we apply the rules that we have, the cloud that we deliver is a little bit more, and I don't want to say a little bit, but you know, it's more expensive than a typical cloud that can be delivered without the labeling or without any kind of regulation that need to be defined or followed. So another things in terms of collaboration, we as a team, we have a strategy regarding to this, even though it's not really related to collaborating with other cloud provider. To be fair, I don't see this now happening, but we need to make it happen, or we need to have a business strategy in Europe, to try to consolidate more the business. But this is another story. So definitely our strategy will be mainly based on delivering what we call sovereign cloud on 3 pillars. That is operational sovereignty, data sovereignty, and software sovereignty. In the sense of software sovereignty, we are embracing the open source journey for our cloud, so we can be open to deliver the service on our infrastructure or someone else's infrastructure and vice versa. On the data sovereignty, we are forcing the rules and the security things on the data we produce in Italy. So we try to give to our customer capability to control the data. And this is key to consider in the framework, even in the trust framework. And this is where we need to see value from Gaia-X, right? Because if you want to facilitate the economy of data, you need to be sure that data can be managed and treated with the sovereignty definition. And the sovereignty of data is not about locality, guys. Nothing to do with locality. Nothing to do with where the data is stored. It's about where is the control of access this data. The last thing I want to share with you is the operation sovereignty. That is the one we try to use to work in a multi-cloud strategy. So as has been mentioned also from our colleague of T-System, we have contract with pretty much every other hyperscaler, and we have our cloud. We try to be the man in the middle, or the IT in the middle, between their service and customer service when it comes to controlling and apply labeling also for the hyperscaler one. So this is in a nutshell what we do on the collaboration, but we need to do better, because just to apply the regulation of data at the data level is not enough. We need to make the infrastructure that follow and deliver the service in an ecosystem way. And this is something we need to encourage, and we need to make it happen in Europe, because if not, the role of the European service provider can be just at the top of the pyramid of the very strategic data, where there is high cost, low margin, and low revenue. And I don't want to be just at that level. I want to play the entire stack of data, from the ordinary data up to the more strategic one, because if I don't do this, I don't have enough economy of scale to deliver the cloud I would like to deliver.
Yeah, thanks. Interesting that you mentioned also the software sovereignty, because I've heard talking about the open source approach and strategy several times this morning, and I think is important, because sometimes an overlooked aspect is that if you don't have sovereignty on the infrastructure, of course you tend to lose also sovereignty and control over the software, because if you don't have the full control of the stack, of course you have limited access to what the performance of your software can be. And this, of course, in view of a transition from enterprise software to cloud software, is important, because still we have a kind of a very good market share in Europe as far as enterprise software is concerned, but in the transition to cloud, this might be lost if you don't go to a sovereignty over the infrastructure. So now we get to Masaru, so thanks. It's an honor to have you here, because now we have a perspective from outside of Europe. And what from your perspective is the strategy or the added value of having a collaboration and having the opportunity to interact with several actors in order to drive more value towards cloud service providers, leveraging of this ecosystem?
So, could I open my presentation now?
Yeah.
Wait a moment, okay. I can skip. Oh. By the way, I'd like to briefly introduce myself. So that I'm Masaru Tobashi from NTT Data Group. Headquarters is based on Japan, but we are a global company. So we have also the offices in Europe. So that we are the best person to talk about global collaboration in the trust layer and so on. So Yeah, I'd like to talk about such kind of thing. Before my talkings, actually, I have a trouble about the airplane. My reservation was canceled yesterday. Then I can find the mobility data space is very important, and also, I cannot find what data is reliable, because I was very confused with a lot of data, but I cannot find the truth. So this is why reliability and trust and compliance is so important. So I'd like to jump into the topic about the collaboration between different collaboration about different regions. So you can see the left side. So there are many regions in the world. In each region have a very different concepts, different business practices, business specification, and so on. Why this happen? This is because each region have each own business practices and each own rules and so on. This is a very complex situation. So first we should do is the two things. The first, we should deploy the field, how we can check the mutual recognition from the viewpoint of the technologies. So this is why we have deployed the testbed in the University of Tokyo. In the University of Tokyo, we have a testbed for the technical trial for the data spaces and also including the trust layer. And also, to create mutual recognition, the important thing is the mutual recognition about what types of the layer definition we are using. Maybe in Europe, ERA, so the European Interoperability Reference Architecture, provides some layer definition for the public sector. This is very nice. But on the other hand, in Japan, we have a different type of the layer definitions. In Japan, we have a layer definition based on Society 5.0. This is a concept from the Japanese government. Of course, this layer is similar to each other, but the detail is different. So to create true mutual recognition between different regions, we need mutual recognition about the layer definition. This is the first step. And also, you can see in the right side, the trust and compliance based on each rules in each region is the basis of the mutual recognition about the data space layer and use case layer and the application layer and so on. So we conducted the collaborative activities in the International Open Forum on Data Society. This open forum aims to create the mutual recognition or synchronizing the idea between different regions. This open forum includes the organization from the Europe, Japan, and Asia. We are expanding the conversation or discussion about how we can create a federal collaboration between different regions. Maybe you can see the T-systems are already included here, and NTT Data providing the open source software-based Gaia-X digital clearinghouse in this testbed. So we are already ready to start the actual testament to create a federal collaboration between different regions. This is illustrated as a kind of a hub, but actual reality is a kind of a mesh network. So that our mind is an open mind. So we are now inviting a lot of organizations to this kind of mutual conversations. So, for example, you can see the LNDS from the Luxembourg or mobility data space and the Sovitis. Maybe Sovitis person here, I think so. yeah. So we are expanding this kind of topics, including not only the Europe, not only Japan, but also the Asia and so on. So recently we have a collaboration with, for example, the Taiwanese organization. We conducted some trial to connect between Taiwan and Japan. This is a memorial event So to realize the commercial connection between these two kinds of regions, we need a federal trust mechanisms, federal trust frameworks, because that provides the rule matching between the different regions. As I explained, the detail of the rules are different from each region, but we can solve such kind of difficulties by using the framework, common framework, with other partners or other stakeholders. This is a practical methodology from me. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot. So now, before I will keep the Fulcrum project at the end, now since all of you are cleaning houses, so we have apart from Alfredo, I think. So I would like to understand from you what is the added value from a business perspective of running a clearinghouse or embodying a trust framework, and what is the interaction with the other technological components, both in the upper layer as regards data infrastructures, or in the lower layer as regards cloud infrastructure. So where is the key point of turning a clearinghouse into an added value for a cloud service provider? So starting again, probably we can keep from Sven.
Yeah, what is the starting point? I think organization validation to build trust between business partners is a key element. Otherwise, I have often this example when we are exchanging business cards, right? I give you my business card, I'm getting your business card, and then I have a trustful in my pocket, in my wallet, and then I deal with you, and then contact you, and so on and so forth. So my point is, I think the initial trust starts really with the organization that is part of the ecosystem. That is where we kicked it off. And of course, the legal identification of the person who's running the business is the next logical step. So that means this is a starting point. But what we are seeing now, it goes beyond. Beyond means we are also willing to establish, I call it services. Services could be a service that is a cloud infrastructure, so that means we can validate. During the initial exchange of my business information, this service was initiated, the service was ramped up in a certain cloud, and then I can validate if this cloud is still valid, right, where the data sit, and when I'm exchanging data, I can check if this data is still relevant to this service element. And this could be a storage object, so that means even in a cloud. So that means it goes further that we are validating services. And the service could be infrastructure component. It could be an asset, of course. And this is where we're extending it, right? And this is a way how it goes further for us. And at the end, it's a base layer for trust. And what we are seeing actually for certain use cases as well, on top of this, that we are validating data as well. So can we really rely on the data that comes from this specific environment, this specific provider, and then when you have a continuous data lifecycle flow in place, then of course you have to validate if this lifecycle is valid, the quality is right, is this really the value that you can trust from the source, and so on and so forth. So that means it is an end-to-end, I would say, trust chain that we would like at the end to establish, and that is where it should go from my perspective. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. So Dominique.
I'm in line with what you said. Actually, for me, the clearinghouse is really the key component because thanks to Gaia-X, this is an open source. This is good for sovereignty. And also, for a cloud provider, we are running this kind of basis. And on top of this basis, we need to run some services which are trusted also. What we need to have is really to know exactly what kind of cloud provider you are using also. You need to be transparent in terms of localization of data, in terms of localization of operation, because without that, you can't guarantee if your data are stored in the right way and if you can have a good trust relationship with your provider. As you said, for service, currently, for a service provider like us, a cloud provider like us, so we need to have the market using the clearinghouse, because without this market using the clearinghouse, we can't develop new services. And it's a question of investment. And if we want to invest, so we need also to have the market willing to use this kind of services. And for me, it's really the key component. And last but not least, as OVH Cloud, so we are relying really on the open source. This is part of our DNA. We are relying also on multi-cloud because if we want to operate something, so we need to dispatch the different workload in different cloud provider because we can't run everything as one cloud provider. This is our belief, and so this is part of your DNA.
Thanks a lot, Dominique. So Mario is also running a clearinghouse.
Yeah, so for us, as we all know, Trust Framework guarantees that all the actors, not only the providers of the final infrastructure, okay, behaves under the same conditions, okay? And for us, this have the main effect of make it easier for final customers as users, the understanding of a market, okay? So this way, we could boost and foster the openness to a global economy. And in this point, just I would like to highlight that we have to find a balance. I mean, because on one hand, we have to look for a federation, but on the other hand, we also have to find mechanisms to add value to each single offer, okay? Because otherwise, we would be missing many things that add value in general to our offers and markets. So by themselves, for us, the clearinghouse are good as they prove that an initiative, the outcome of an initiative for a project we were previously discussing, is being commonly accepted by the community, is evolving, and is being implemented and used, okay? And this is quite important. It's a certain example of how that has born from the requirements of the users and the community, has evolved and has been built and it's working, okay? And for other projects and services, different components that need to be added to exchange this value is the way to prove the alignment we were discussing previously among all these initiatives, okay? We have to remember that is something crucial, this kind of alignment, in order to prevent the fragmentation of the general federation and ecosystem.
Thanks. So Alfredo, you not directly in the clearinghouse, but I mean the added value of having a trust framework and possibly qualifying services, I think is quite an hot topic also for you as regards both the general services, I would say, the customer service, but also the infrastructural services as well. So what is your point of view?
Yeah, so first of all, we're not a clearinghouse, but we have tested the last year the clearinghouse. We are very close to the end of the process. So we have tested the process. We run in pre-production in our environment. So we pre-tested and we saw the way where we can use in order to verify the service, right? So we have a little experience into this topic. So definitely, after I've done this experience last year, I would say for us, clearinghouse is definitely, we need to see the clearinghouse not a business per se, but definitely as an enabler. It's an enabler for our environment and ecosystem. So it's key. The trust framework and the clearinghouse that certify the trust framework is important if we build an ecosystem altogether around to give a value to the certification itself and to the verification itself. So this is the most important thing. So we need to build around the definition of clearinghouse the ecosystem that can see the value in being certified and be considered trusted, by a trustee that could be the clearinghouse for business reasons. So be certified just for the compliance is not a value. I want to go back to my first statement. So we need to give a business value to the certification and to every single regulation things we are enforcing to the market, even the labeling. So cannot be just imposed by regulation, but need to be imposed and need to come from a business opportunity. If we are capable to put together regulation and business opportunity, that's the clearinghouse is a phenomenal opportunity to certify and provide the green flag into the interoperability. If not, and we force the regulation to be just a must-have to comply with the certain rules, definitely is a value, but not the most valuable for the business itself.
Thanks a lot. So, Masaru, you're the real living proof that the clearinghouse is interesting also outside the European boundaries. So what is the added value that you see from your perspective and your business vision?
Yeah, could I use this slide? So first of all, as I explained in the previous question, there are difficulties in the world. So that so that there are a lot of regulations in each region. So that, for example, the EIRA's regulation is very strong regulations in Europe, and on the other hand, Japanese have a different type of similar regulations, but the detail is totally different from each other. So, by the way, so the data sovereignty or digital architecture sovereignty is very, very important, but in Japanese case, the cost effectiveness is also very important. So if we try to solve these kinds of different rules matching mechanisms by single company, this is not cost effective. Doesn't work. So we need the same kind of a social framework to solve these types of challenges. So maybe you can see the right side of my presentation slide. Maybe reality is that there are so many similar but different rules in the world. To realize the mutual recognition or mutual or consensus between a different type of rules, we need some kind of a social framework as a compliance layer. So the Gaia-X digital clearing house is one of them, so that we can implement such kind of compliance mechanisms based on the open source software. And because this is very important, open source is very important because it's a neutral technology. We can deploy that kind of things for each region, each environment, and so on. We can easily test such kind of thing combined with regional rules, regional conditions, and so on. And if we can deploy such kind of a co-working framework in the society, in the industries, in each industry group, and so on, we can co-use, we can multi-use such kind of framework with different regions. So the right side picture is the kind of a future image of the society, when we have the common compliance layer between different regions in the world. But I think that this needs some kind of trials. So this is why we have conducted some discussion and planning to execute some technical trial to realize the federal trust layer collaboration between Europe and Japan. But this is the initial action. We'd like to expand this kind of actual, practical, technical challenge in parallel with the political challenge. We'd like to expand this kind of a technical challenge with the person, with the organization in the world. So maybe you are the right person, I think, so that we'd like to collaborate with you. Thank you.
Thank you. So now I need just the remote, so I switch from moderator to speakers. I'll talk very briefly about the Fulcrum project, because actually both in Paris and in Alicante, we ran a POC with some partners here in Gaia-X. And this year we decided to transform this POC in a concrete market proposal. So I don't want to mention again the challenges that are in front of the providers. We have the problem that, of course, we are kind of losing market share in a market that is expanding, and we have to find way to let's say turn this fragmentation into a value. And of course, you have two paths. One is towards a bigger concentration. The other one is through federation, which is the word, and collaboration, which is the word that we used in this panel and in general in Gaia-X. So the opportunities is to have a different approach, to follow an approach that is open and interoperable. Again, the word open is coming and coming over and over. And to have and to exploit, I mean, the wide geographic distribution that is typical of Europe and typical of the European cloud service providers. So in order to transform this into a market reality and enable the small and mid-sized cloud service provider to exploit the last commercial mile and the proximity to customers, we came up with this Fulcrum project, which is composed of two parts. One is a computing exchange market, so it's real the place. We as Topics, my company, we are an internet exchange, so you do exchange bits at a network level. The same you can do it at computational level. You can exchange computational resources. So you have, as you will see later on in the panel, as you have data intermediaries, you could have infrastructure intermediaries that can enable exchange of infrastructure. And then the foundation where you discuss the open source framework that could enable this. And I see a lot of complementarities with the Aura project that I heard this morning. The goal is to have this liquid or dynamic federation, which is based really on open framework. So this is more or less is the schema where even a small CSPs who has a request from a big customers can go on the market and buy the resources, and enabling a kind of resource roaming, the concept that is closest to this one, and enable a market capillarity while preserving the robustness and the performance. So this is, say, the inclusive federated cloud is one of the possible answers through collaboration to those challenges. So now, in view of the last minute, I would ask each of you to have a 10 seconds sentence, or what could be the ambition or let's say the goal of cloud service providers as regards turning this collaboration and trust framework into a value. Dominique, start from.
So I can say that we have to be proofware and not slideware.
Yeah, maybe let me add, turning the technical capabilities and the reference frameworks into real business value is for me the key.
Thank you. Mario?
So collaboration among not only providers, but also among all the projects and innovation-related initiatives, okay?
Okay. Alfredo? Is she still there? I don't see many more.
Sorry, Leo, I got a call. Can you repeat the question? It was an important one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just one sentence of what could be the ambition for as regards collaboration and turning trust framework into a value. Just one shot.
Value, business value, and not the cost adoption is absolutely my key statement here. So avoiding cost, provide business value would be beneficial and would be a great success of this initiative, definitely.
Thanks. And Masaru, very brief.
Yeah, thanks so much. So as a global company, we provide enablement services to realize the true federal global framework to the society. This is our ambition here.
So thanks a lot to you all. I enjoyed the panel and I hope you did the same. So thanks.